Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome aboard and welcome back to WOR. This is the Legacy Division. We are live here for round number 22. This is the Austrian Grand Prix. Coming at you live from the circuit in Spielberg. This is the Red Bull Ring. It is myself, Jota, alongside Joseph tonight for what will be potentially a bit of a record breaker here tonight, folks, because it is going to be one of those races where they're discussing permutations for a potential champion. But just before we get going at this one, Joseph, an intense race last weekend out at the British Grand Prix, an intense sprint, an intense race, and what turned out to be definitely the race that allowed Shizou to put one hand on the trophy.
Yeah, indeed. Good evening, Jota. Good evening, everybody. Of course, had to sit on the sidelines for that one, and I think a lot less stressful, instance-wise. Only a few clumsy moves here and there, but of course, Shizou absolutely nailing down a brilliant race from start to finish, that including the sprint as well, where they took P1 in the race, where they took a 1-2, their second in 3 races. They're now on the verge of history to become the first team in the Legacy Division to win 2 world titles.
Yeah, I mean, if you technically take away PSR and F7R, which was basically the same team, but on paper, definitely this will be the first double world champion of this Legacy Division in what is actually a number of seasons, to be fair, of Legacy Division. It's surprising we haven't had a double world champion, but there is the race results for this particular event of what has been actually a pretty intense race that led to a 1-2 in the end for the Team Shizou, with Cameron Dow's leading the way from Tom, who managed to hold off a pretty good attack from EVE's PLX, making it another little record breaker for the Legacy Division. Every single team that's took part in this championship, all 11 of them, have had at least one podium this season, which is just absolutely fabulous, to say the least. There's the race results, as we said. We'll be moving over to the sprint race results. There they are. Cameron Dowd's winning for Team Shizou, and then there again, once again, EVE managing to get into the top 10. A great effort indeed. But what has actually, let's be candid, a bit of a disappointing result, actually, for the likes of BRT, because it was a little bit of a mixed bag, and in the end, what ended up happening was Tech managed to get some decent points haul, but Justin, so far out of form at the moment, ended up crashing down to the nil point, and definitely ended up pushing Team Shizou towards the title as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a bit of a surprise, hasn't it? We have discussed how Justin has just not had any sort of A, luck, or B, form or pace to really be up there and fighting recently, and that has been the story really of BRT season. Some absolutely fantastic results in isolation, P1 in Texas, P3 in Suzuka, but the second driver recently just absolutely nowhere to be seen. That's where Shizou have come into their own. That's where Shizou have pulled away, and now ultimately on the verge of that title, with BRT announcing this week, of course, their closure as a team at the end of the season. They want to go out on a high, but they've both got to be up there to do it.
Yeah, obviously more about that news a little bit later on, but very quickly, going to the standings then, there it is. Team Shizou, 782 points from Bugger Racing Team on 687, ET8 680 from CPI's 590. More about them in a few minutes as well, with Top Tier Motorsport on 577 in their own little no man's land with the likes of CPI. A big opportunity for Top Tier Motorsport tonight. And then we've got TF10 387, Tatum 327 from Future Racing Team 236. Grad Track 10 managing to get to 181, and Project Aversio, after a fantastic race weekend last time out, closing down the gap on the GT10 team. Only 30 points separating the pair of them from the foot of the table. Of course, Novus Racing only taking part in the first few rounds of this championship, so we exclude them from this particular round. So I'll tell you what, though, it's all going to be about then. We'll take a quick look at the situation in terms of the drivers then. This is the situation in that middle ground, that little no man's land. CPI, both serving a qualifying ban tonight. They have eclipsed 60 penalty points this season. So Gatkowski in his final outing for this championship, and then Jeslar, all both serving qualifying bans tonight. That is an opportunity for TTM.
Yeah, it is indeed. TTM have been brilliant in the last few races. Ever since round 14, they've had they've had a race on, one off, one on, one off the podium. That was a mouthful. But their general consistency recently has been absolutely fantastic. And of course, they have really bridged the gap, closed the gap to CPI, who of course have had the instance and have had cars out of the points and a few more DNFs as well. So yeah, TTM just quietly been going about their business very recently. Of course, at the start of the season, winning the race 1-3 in Monaco, we associated them as early title challengers. The middle part of the season, has let them down. But, you know, a good end to the season, laying the foundations for next game would be even better if they could overtake CPI and go up into 4th in this championship.
So, critical news then, with 12 minutes to go in this Q1 session. Of course, we've not really decided to progress on with the qualifying, well, to stream it anyway, because the majority of the drivers have been out there on intermediate, so there's nothing really to disclose at the moment. But everyone now moving over to the soft tyre for this last 12 minutes. So, obviously, those lap times are on the left side of your screen, not really anything to really write home about at the moment, but it's worth having a very quick discussion surrounding the lineups here tonight, though. Of course, in the background you may have just seen a little bit earlier on we did have a quick conversation about what we were seeing in terms of the lineups, but one thing that does shock me is that Bunga have decided that they're going to field Justin again despite his lack of form. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one as Kiki goes fastest. You know, Justin, look, he's not a slow driver by any means. He's just a little bit out of form, and I think that unfortunate result in Britain definitely has put BRT on the back foot with only 3 rounds to go. You've got to be candid and say, are BRT doing the right thing fielding Justin? Are their hands forced as a result of fielding Justin? Or is this one of Justin's better tracks? You know, Austria is one of those circuits where, you know, you can be really, really at your best here. You can really chuck the car around and not really lose that much in the way of performance.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation for BRT, of course, because, again, the obvious candidate for any race would be Joe Murphy, but, of course, he has done 2 out of 3 already and could have only 1 more appearance before the end of this season. The same would be said for Justin after this round, as he is now on 2 of 3. I mean, looking at Owen and Finn Bob, their other 2 options, of course. Owen, we're still awaiting for him to join. They have not historically been towards the top end of the field. They have picked up some good results in the midfield, but nothing really to shout about. Their final option, of course, was Silo, who has now departed the team. I think he's been in about 6 teams since we last saw him here in the Legacy Division. So really, their hands have kind of been forced into this, but I do respect the fact that they're keeping a lot of faith in Justin. They want Justin to go on and do well, of course. Again, more on the team closures later. But yeah, a respectful start to qualify. And whether or not he can finally get a good result on the boards, time will tell. But yeah, Justin, maybe their hands ultimately been forced into this.
Obviously, he's teamed up with Owen tonight, but you see Owen is not actually in his car. He's having some challenges to get here on time, as his car has just managed to get into his car now, so he will compete in this qualifying event, but not the last thing that they need. A team that's obviously just trying to keep the faith that they've got a potential championship hunt here, but the driver turning up late will not help, that is for certain. On board with Ray, and as I said, TTM opportunity knocks for them tonight with their closest compatriots in the championship in CPI are currently down at the order with a qualifying ban, so opportunity as they seize that opportunity. They've decided to field Rayan, who has arguably been the driver, probably one of the most drivers most in form so far this season, alongside the likes of Joe Murphy, who's been really quick this season. He's competing alongside Enzo Sabaton tonight, so Enzo should also be able to compete quite well. They do work quite well, do Enzo and Rayan, so opportunity certainly on the cards for the team in the Red Bull outfit. FRT racing alongside the Raptor and Nico tonight, so they should be in for some big points here, because I know Nico especially is pretty quick around Austria, so that could be one to watch. Raptor, actually not too sure about Raptor, to be fair, so he'll be interesting to watch for certain. But one thing that I am certainly going to be looking forward to is seeing the likes of GT10, because Fano Spinoda is a driver that is so up and down. He's like a yo-yo when it comes to pace, but when it comes to the short circuits like Austria, we should be expecting some good racing from him tonight, but we will certainly be keeping an eye out on that one. You know, Joseph, it's going to be a blinder here. George Anson going fastest, but we are in the midst of what is now going to be the changing of the guard, where people getting ready to close down this game cycle, begin the new one. F125 obviously starting to get the motions rolling. Certain drivers are moving to the PC, certain drivers potentially moving teams. One thing that that you've alluded to very earlier on in this one is the Bunga Racing team. You know, the team that was fighting for the championship this season, announcing only a couple of days ago they're closing their doors. 4 years of racing, and they have decided that's enough for us.
Yeah, it's sad, of course, because operationally they've been fantastic. They've been a real pleasure to watch, commentate, race against some of their drivers over the years, and it does come as a surprise. But of course, the management team, what they're saying is, effectively, it's a lot of effort in their lives, and really, it is. You know, um, there's financial elements, there's management of different drivers on a game that's really not shown any progression in the last few years. So maybe they're seeing that sort of resemblance in F1 25, where the game just isn't quite going to be up to an enjoyable standard, and ultimately they've decided to call it a day on their team operations. I'm glad they're still keeping the league around, because I really do think that social league racing is still a fantastic community if you're in the right places. So yeah, Bunga Racing Team always have been a wonderful community, and I will be sad that they are no longer racing as a team.
Yeah, and I think there are certain points actually that are being written by, the founders and the owners of the BRT team, which are saying it's just age, isn't it? We all grow older. We're all doing things in our life, I mean, I'm a 28-year-old man now, so I'm, doing all what I need to do throughout life, and it just means that we don't have that time to just solely focus on this particular game or focus on video games anymore. We are adults. God, adulting sucks, doesn't it? But we've got to get on with it, and that's the unfortunate nature that, unfortunately, BRT closing their doors after 4 years of racing, and it's a real shame, to be honest with you, because the BRT team has been fabulous to watch, to say the least. But again, as you make very clear, and this is obviously coming from Kiwi, who made the statement a couple of days ago, you make again allude to it, that at least the team, in terms of the leagues, are still around as well. Of course, that's BBC and BBS are still all around, so that at least will not see the Bunga name completely out of the community. But we do wish Kiwi and the rest of the team the very best, of course, as they complete their final season in the Formula One franchise as a league team at the end of the day. So thank you very much for all the years that you've provided, guys. It's been a real pleasure to commentate over you guys as well. 3 and a bit minutes to go before we all start shedding tears in this particular Q1 session. Early indications suggesting, though, as we've just been waffling away, that still a little bit of a mixed bag, but EVE are looking pretty sharp in this early Q1 session, Joseph.
Oh, dare I say it, another team looking to go out on a high note, and their improvements in the last few weeks cannot go undiscussed. Of course, the podium by the PLX last week was absolutely fantastic. A great story in the fight from start to finish. And on another day, maybe if it wasn't Team Shizou 1 and 2, they could have won that race and created a even bigger legacy for themselves in this short space of time that they have left. But yeah, AGK and Harrison doing a wonderful job so far on the most probably vital qualifying track of the season. Yes, it's the shortest lap time, and every thousandth is going to count for these grid spots. And the chaotic track where 3 DRS zones lead to some rather wacky trains, yeah, they're in a pretty good position pace-wise already.
Just on board with Owen at the moment in the full BRT as well, who's just had to take a travel in the grass. Last thing you really need to do on your outlap, sir. Obviously, a driver who came into the session a little bit late. I'm sure there'll be some ramifications off the back of that one, although I can be very happy if he'd be corrected off of the back of that one. But he hasn't set a lap time at the moment, as hasn't Azim and Mattia Manga as well. So it's the TRT and ET8 drivers also who haven't started. In fact, Mattia Manga's just reconnected into the lobby. He's to get in as quickly as he possibly can to set a lap. But Owen just about to get going. Fairly Critical has been struggling with turn 1 and turn 10 for the last few qualifying laps, and being a little bit more conservative off throttle and on throttle at turn 1 as a result. I think he's aware he's under pressure at the moment to at least get somewhere near Justin's time. 1:03.4 is what he's set. Going through then into turn 3, chokes the car through the right-hander in the Josh Edu approach, the esports way of chucking your car through, very the Fernando Alonso Renault days-esque, then chucking the car through into turn 4 once again. Front just able to connect, but a little bit of a lock-up on the inside, probably not going to lose too much time. Owen looking, as I said, to be somewhere around Justin's pace.
Yeah, indeed, Owen, who did join tonight. I don't believe there are any punishments, because he did announce and confirm long beforehand that he was going to be a little bit late into the session. But that does mean is that he's only got 1 lap in this session, chucking it down then through turn number 9 and into turn 10 within the white lines, of course. big talking point a couple of years ago in Austria in the real-life Grand Prix. Owen crosses the line and goes third. Really nice job there with his one and only lap of the session. Next car to cross the line, I believe, will be one of the Haas cars, and it will be GT10 Kiki, who is on the cusp of elimination. In fact, he is in the drop zone at the moment, about 2.5 tenths drift of P15. Into the final corner, bit of a wiggle on the exit, doesn't look hooked up at all. Kiki crosses the line and stays 16th.
Yeah, not an improvement, but not a good enough. His Zine goes third, fastest speed to going across the line, which is exactly what they need. And Mattia Manga just getting back into the lobby at just the right time with 40 seconds to go on his outlap at the moment. Kiki, no doubt, is going to be out of this session as well. Nico improves to 14th, which puts Enzo Sabaton down into 16th. Now, Enzo really does need to improve here because this is, as I said, a real opportunity on the cards here for the likes of TTM, who, of course, their closest co-compatriots, fastest in the first sector from Enzo Sabaton. Exactly what TTM need at the moment. TTM are on the cusp of potentially earning big time off of the back of CPI, both serving their qualifying ban. They'll be starting 18th and 19th as it stands, with Mattia Manga not setting a lap time himself, but he is just on a lap at the moment as Christian is retired in the pit lane. He's happy with his lap time at the moment, down at the moment as well. Just trying to find where he is at the moment. But anyway, by the by, he's just coming through into the final few sets of corners in the second sector, into the third sector then for Enzo Sabaton, looking to try and at least get within touching distance if he can of his teammate Rayan, but surely should be looking at the likes of 103.3s here for Enzo. It's a quick circuit around here, as long as it doesn't invalidate. Oh, it's perfection around turn 10 then for Enzo as he comes across the line. Only 13th fastest though. He's definitely going to be looking over his shoulder a little bit if Mattia Manga and Nico. Yes, he has done enough actually. The maths all check out on that one. He'll be 15th at the very minimum. Here comes Mattia Manga then coming across the final corner. Oh, misses his apex at 9. Here he comes then through 10. He just misses it ever so slightly, but should be relatively okay. Here he comes then across the line right now. Oh, only 17th fastest for Mattia Mango, so he is out of qualifying alongside Kiki and alongside Nico as it stands, but he will knock his teammate out. No, he will not. He dives into the pit lane. Oh, just spins it on the entrance as well. He's lucky to keep within the qualifying session. Makes a difference regardless. He's out of qualifying. He'll be starting P16 just behind his teammate in 15th place, who will make his way through into Q2. So that is that as it stands so far. A little bit of a mixed bag in that Q1 session, Joseph, but first things that indicate to me anyway that actually advantage falls in the likes of EVE, who is looking fairly sharp in second and in 8th, and well, it's a little bit of a mixed bag all around, to be honest with you. Not really a lot to say.
Yeah, nothing really too dramatic in terms of potential contenders in our championship race going out of the session. CPI, of course, double qualifying band. Kiki for GT10 out, as well as Mattia Manga. FRT Nico, that's his debut race in the Legacy Division. He'll start from 16th, just pipped by his teammate FRT Raptor, who we don't often see a lot of because of his position within the US and the fact it's mid-afternoon for him. I think that's an Easter holidays thing. But yeah, George Ansell topping the session, his first race for TF10. So yeah, again, a lot of firsts ongoing, even so late into the season. George Ansell can continue that because on his day, he is a handy driver.
Yeah, quite actually, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the likes of how he gets along. But I'm actually a little bit confused at the moment, Joseph, because Nico and Raptor are usually known for their pace around here, but 15th and 16th place suggest FRT are under the cosh a little bit. The problem is that it was less than 0.3 of a second between you being at first and being knocked out. So, you know, every 100th of a second is going to count, and when you're FRT, a team not considered to be at the front, that could be the detrimental factor, really, for the likes of the middle ground teams. So Q2 could be an interesting one, to say the least. Gives us a very quick opportunity to talk about last week again, because, of course, BRT losing ground last weekend with the likes of Tech and Justin, P5 and P18 in the end. ET8 served the double qualifying ban last time out at Britain, but they still finished P8 and P9. But Shizou converting that pole position to a 1-2 means that they've now got one hand on the trophy, Joseph. Permutations stand as it is clearly written out. BRT, 52 points Shizou need to outscore them by. ET8, 45 points is what Shizou need to outscore them by. If they do that, they're champions tonight.
Yes, Simple enough, isn't it? But of course, BRT and ET8, their motivation is to just outscore Shazoo if they can and keep this one going right to the very end, because we've seen so many changes in the story this season that we really want to see, and really do hope that this championship has the finale, really, that it does deserve. So they'll be doing everything to make sure that happens. Shazoo, though, are on a great run of form, and it's hard to really see anybody stopping them. Both cars comfortably into Q2. No concerns really on the driving front so far, as I just watched Tom actually invalidating his first lap on the scrub set in this session. But yeah, it's a lot of points to outscore by, of course, a maximum of 73 on offer. So really they need to hope for an absolute disaster from BRT or ET8, but their sole focus, just set it up for next week. And yeah, they should be champions, I think, by next week.
I think the first person to set a lap time out of those that are actually on valid laps will actually be Azim, believe it or not. The rest of the drivers in front are all on invalid laps. So just on board with Azim as well. Big opportunity. ET8 are still technically in the hunt for the title, but obviously the third place team really wants to capitalise on BRT's sort of bad news of them closing down, and then obviously maybe the drivers are feeling a little bit down in the dumps a little bit. So if they can get into the heads of the team in second place, they could close down the gap on the front. So the first person to set a lap time 103.8, so likely to be likely to be a U set of soft tyres. 103.8 for Oscar as well, 200ths of a second faster to go fastest. Justin 103.9, 104.0 for Ryan, as Harrison Holmes is on an invalid lap invalidating at turn 10. Vanna Spinoda going fastest for GT10, 103.7. No surprises, he is pretty quick generally, but I think Austria certainly is a circuit that suits his particular driving style. On board with Enzo Sabaton, other people will be setting laps before him, but again, it's an opportunity. I keep rattling on about this point, but 19th and 20th place it will be for the Cedar Phoenix Igniters. TTM could close down that gap and potentially try and get P4 under their heads.
Yeah, that is the target now for TTM, as they have been, I think, saying in some of the managerial chats and the paddock chats around WOR. And Ryan up in fifth at the moment. We're still about 5-6 tenths off what we're setting in Q1, and that just sort of shows the degradation that we're seeing on the soft compound of tyres potentially going into the race. One to avoid, because that's quite a big drop-off in pace for such a short track in terms of lap time. Here comes Enzo then. He is invalid. I think a lot of drivers just trying to take on the delta rather than having a quick lap, or indeed a valid lap on the board. That's a mid-point 9 for Enzo. So none of these lap times really meaning anything at the moment. Should still at least see 2 more runs in this session on fresh sets, providing the drivers race back to the pits in quick time. You can do that in just about a minute on your in-lap.
Yep, speaking of mid-point 9s, AGK coming across the line to set a 103.940 of his own. Again, likely a U set of soft tyres for these runners with 10 minutes to go in this Q2 session. If you are just tuning in, thank you very much. If you are alongside us for this is the Austrian Grand Prix. It's round number 22 of the WOR Legacy Division Series. I hope you have been enjoying this one. It's been going on for a very long time, but we could be crowning a champion tonight, and it will be one of the it definitely will be the Alpines that are going to be on there with one hand on the trophy right now. The question is, will they get the other one if everything falls well within favour? On board with Raptor on his outlap at the moment. It's looking like we're going to be in for what I think will be, certainly, Joseph, a bit of a close call of a race here tonight. But, you know, you've got to look at it from the perspective of the 2 teams at the front. Of course, ET8, they have served their double qualifying ban now, haven't they, as a result of that one, as it looks like Raptor has disconnected from the session as well. So it looks like we're starting to see a few little challenges in terms of internet connection, which would be a bit of an issue. But Joseph, you know, double qualifying ban has been served by ET8. They've got now nothing to really worry about until the end of the season. But the situation is still on the cards for Team Shazoo and for BRT. Both of their teams, respectively, 1 and 3 penalty points away from a singular qualifying ban, that could be the make or breaker between them having one hand on the trophy or potentially inviting someone else back. They've got to keep it clean for the next 3 rounds, and that's going to be difficult when they're trying to potentially win a title or claw a hand back onto it.
Yeah, of course, and we've seen the teams this season. They have been so eager to report anything and everything because of the accumulation of these penalty points, first and foremost, and how it can subsequently impact rounds and rounds on end if you pick up qualifying bans. They have been a massive part of this season. Of course, Shizou, maybe they can afford that penalty point today. Maybe they're not too fussed. They're on 39. They've had a slightly cleaner season than ETA, who are, of course, on 66. Quite a way away from that next ban, of course. BRT on 37. We're talking, on average, about 2 penalty points a round. They're hard to avoid with the amount of little incidents that have gone on in this championship. And so I think they will come into play. It's just a matter of when. It might be tonight. There might be some, a push at turn 3 or something that results in a report. There's your penalty points. There's your ban. It's fairly straightforward to pick up. You know, it's not a bad thing if it does happen. But again, it'll be something that will cross in their mind.
Seriously, fastest second sector of anyone so far from TRT's Christian at the moment, who's having a pretty good lap on this outing. We'll have to see where he comes across the line right now as he goes with a 103.3. So this is the new set of soft tyres, but Ryan immediately beating him out the blocks with a 103.199, so managing to find just over a tenth on the Ferrari man. George Ansell has invalidated his lap. He won't be improving. On board with Shizou Tom, the what he would describe potentially as champions-elect at the moment, is what has been a fabulous season from Team Shizou in terms of sort of clawing their way back at one point, not having a singular race win until deep into the season, and now off the back of 3 race wins in just a short period of time, Team Shizou are champions-elect as it stands, and going joint fastest with the likes of Rayan, a 103.199 of his own, but Rayan setting it first means he is on first place with Tom in second. Again, a testament to how close this season has been, really, from start to finish. Doesn't surprise me that we have got 2 people with exactly the same qualifying lap time at the front of the field. Everyone else on invalidated lap time, so we're not expecting anything major from those all around. But I tell you what, Joseph, these drivers are really in for what is going to be now a bit of a home stretch, isn't it, all the way to the end of the season. You've been a racer yourself, I've been a racer. This part of the season, after especially, it's been a very long season as well. What's going through the drivers' minds at this point in the season? You know, are they wanting to sort of have a bit more fun and just sort of go out there and explore and see what they can do with the car, knowing that obviously it's going to be new cars underneath them soon, or are they going to take it just as seriously, despite the fact that we're now in April?
The first thing that would come to my head is get me off this game. Is the first thing going through the driver's mind. But on a serious level, it has been mentally long. You know, we started back in August on the back of a bit of confusion with the early stage of the game, how it was running. It wasn't a particularly stable game by any means. So to get to this point, there's got to be a bit of motivation involved as well, surely. Let's give it everything for the last 3 races. There's still prize money to play for. There is still pride at stake. And especially for the teams that we are, of course, losing, and know for a fact we're losing at the end of the season. There may still be more going on to the next game. There'll be changes everywhere. Go out, give it everything. You know, these are 3 tracks that these drivers know very, very well. Common places on F1 game calendars. So why not put all of that knowledge, put all of that practice into what is bound to be an entertaining final 3 races? Go out, restore some pride.
Tell you what, a little bit of a weird lap actually from Enzo Sabaton. I don't know if that's a new set of soft tyres. If it is, that's not a very good lap. 103.768 puts him deep within risk of being knocked out here. Again, TTM really need to benefit here from the fact that CPI are both in 19th and 20th place. So Enzo needs to find more pace, get back in his grid slot, and get a new set of soft tyres on as quickly as he possibly can. Justin also at risk with a 103.921, who is definitely at risk, is his teammate Owen. He hasn't even set a lap time at the moment alongside Dirk, Sergio and Harrison. Raptor has retired from this session, so that will be it in terms of FRT's showing in the qualifiers. So that will be it on that one. Harrison Holmes looking to try and improve try and set a lap time at the moment for EVE. Down at the foot of the table, his teammate AGK Racing though looking sharp, up in P3, 103.261.
Yeah, again, EVE showing that their Q1 pace wasn't just a fluke or the fact that some of the other drivers were sandbagging. They are looking right on form, close by about 0.06 of a second to Tom and Ryan. Ryan has retired. That's an indication that Tom will join him as well. They've got the exact same lap time, and they are both safely through in this session. Harrison Holmes, though, out slightly breaking sync of what all the other drivers are doing. He will go for a flying lap slightly earlier to try and put some of the pressure on the 3 other drivers, excluding Raptor, that haven't set a lap time in the session. Shame to lose Raptor. Some ongoing connection issues, of course, with his location in the United States. But here comes Harrison Holmes then. Can he join his teammate AGK Racing, who's looking set to be in Q3 here? Important lap needed now. Getting through turn 1 nice and cleanly. And how much speed can he carry all the way up to the top of the hill? Looking at his first sector time coming right up. There's a time to be 15.820. Let's see if that's competitive.
Yeah, right at the peak of the hill, of course. It's 2,241 feet above sea level. It's the highest in Europe for the track map here in Austria. So it shouldn't surprise you guys at all. These engines are running at full chat. Of course, they're trying to absorb as much air as they possibly can. Harrison then chucking the car through the left-hander of turn 6. We're expecting that one to be one of the hot spots for racing here tonight. Through turn 7, try not to extend here, does it absolute perfection as well. Ignore the purple sectors that you see on the screen as well. He's yet to set a lap time, so for some reason this is a little bit buggy on that track map. Chucks the car through the right-hander then off turn number 10 as he now comes all the way to the racing line. We'll see where Harrison comes across, and he goes P4, neatly compacted with his teammate as well. It's only 17 thousandths of a second behind AGK. Very, very nicely done, and that probably will be it for EVE. They're going to have a double showing as Owen has had an absolute horrible first sector and a horrible turn 3, and I tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if he's abandoned that lap, and he has as well. BRT, a race where they really need to be at the front and competing with the likes of Ray and Tom and the EVE guys at the moment, having a stinker. Oh, Justin also really stinking it round turn 10. They are really not happy out there at the moment, are the bruised limes.
Yeah, absolutely. Had to abandon that lap, by the way, because he had long exceeded track limits. Though the game didn't give him the validation, he would have been penalised had he improved, and he was improving on that 1 minute 3.9. He could go again if he charges his battery. He's pushing a little bit here. I think maybe to try and get back to the line to have one more crack at this. Owen also recharged his battery. He's got one more turn, but those tyres for both of them have already done a flying lap, and we've seen how far the tyres can degrade in terms of lap time.
Oh, he's invalid. He's out.
Lap.
Oh,
dear.
Owen's invalidated at turn 1, Joseph. That's it. So they're going to lose at least one of the drivers. Justin has only got about half a minute to get around as well, as Azima's gone third fastest for ET8. That's exactly the last thing that BRT need to hear at the moment, is that ET8 are also on fire. Sergio yet to set a lap, but he's currently on a lap at the moment. He's got not long to go. Here comes Sergio. Oh, straight across the line, goes fastest of anyone by 8 thousandths of a second against Rayan and Tom. That is, again, the worst thing that BRT could have heard at the moment. They've got one driver out, and Justin is also out as well. BRT, the championship hopefuls, the team that really needed to be alongside Team Shizou tonight, are 13th and 14th place at the end of qualifying. BRT have had an absolute stinker of a qualifying when they needed to be at the front.
Yeah, they have. And Owen just still chucking the car around. He's already invalid. His session is already done. Fanny Spinoda also out of the session. Enzo Sabaton is too. His session is run. George Ansel will get through quite comfortably in the end, but he doesn't actually have to set this lap. He'll still give it a crack though. He's already on those tyres. Let's see where his pace stacks up. Our leader in Q1 could be as well the leader in Q2 if he finds a good final sector. Shizou Oscar in a similar boat, not having to improve. I think he's going to come into the pit.
Enzo Sabaton, no front wing on the front of his car. So when we were hoping that TTM were going to be able to benefit off the back of CPI's lack of qualifying, one of their drivers will also be out of qualifying as well because he has no front wing on the front of that Red Bull. There's one way to shred weight. That is not the way to do it. So Enzo will be starting in 11th place. His teammate up in P2. Enzo, what happened to the Red Bull driver and what happened to TTM? They need to maximise the opportunities out there as it stands so far. The team that are maximising their opportunities by far after the end of this one are ET8 and EVE, can you believe?
Again, EVE right up there. ET8 1 and 4 still in the distant hunt for the title, trailing by 102 points. Oscar comfortably through, Tom up in third. So we have two of our three teams to mathematically in the hunt for the championship through with both cars. And again, we have those teams lower down the pecking order back in the mix. EVE, 5th and 6th, got on the podium last week. Maybe challenging for another one this evening. And that could maybe delay Shizu's title party by a week or two.
Well, there you go. 8 thousandths of a second separating the front three, and not even a cigarette paper separating Ryan and Tom, as they both set exactly the same lap time of 103.199. Half a tenth for Azim, less than 3/4 of a tenth for AGK, and less than a tenth between the likes of the top 7 as 6th and 7th also set exactly the same lap time. In the end, the gap was just a little bit over 2/10 of a second for the top 10. Then there's a gap of over half a second between Enzo Fana-Spinoda and then Justin and Owen, both out of qualifying for BRT. The team falling flat on its face, with Raptor, of course, receiving the qualifying issues and the connection issues, which has led to his demise out of this session. I tell you what, though, that is going to be a real hard hitter for the likes of BRT, especially considering tonight Team Shizu fielding Tom, a very quick driver and certainly in form, and Oscar, who is really starting to find his footing in this particular game cycle right at the end. Shizu have not just got one hand on the trophy now, they've got by for certain, I think, one hand and definitely the little finger of the other on the other side.
Dare I say the index as well, just for a little bit of extra grip and support. I wouldn't want to hold a big trophy with just my pinky. Q3 then, a little bit of Noah's Ark going on with three teams, Oscar, Tom, the EVE drivers of Harrison and AGK, the two Visa Cash App Racing Balls of TF10 Dirk and George Ansell. They'll be looking to give each other a lot of feedback throughout the course of this session. A bit of comfort knowing that, well, if you're going to lose a position, it's more than likely going to be to your teammate. And that's no bad thing. It means we should have a lot of drivers on their A game in this final part of qualifying, where if you've missed the first two parts of qualifying, every thousandth has counted, literally, based on what we've seen in Q2.
Yeah, four drivers all setting exactly the same lap time. A group of two setting a 199 and the other one setting a 246. So just goes to show how tightly compacted this championship is at the moment. It's absolutely fabulous, as Owen has now left the session out of frustration, probably to get into time trial and spend the next 12 minutes just revising the circuit a little bit. BRT, of all races, to start falling with both of their drivers, this was not it. So, opportunity knocks for Team Shizu to take the title tonight. The only issue is ET8 have been absolutely fantastic themselves in qualifying, on board with Rayan. Probably a driver we're going to consider as potentially a pole-sitting hopeful here tonight. He's been very good in qualifying so far. Probably a U set of soft tyres initially, Joseph, but if you do have any early potential favourites for pole here with 10 minutes to go, surely Rayan's up there, but who's your favourite?
This is really tough to call because of the variance we've seen in pace across Q1 and Q2. Not quite the same sort of order at all. I am going to go for Sergio. I do think he comes alive. He came alive in Q2. I think he comes alive even more in Q3. And ET8 may be a little bit more relaxed about this championship situation, knowing that they are in third. They're not necessarily likely to, overturn this 102-point deficit. Maybe it's just going to bring out the best of them in this session. Sergio is my pick for pole. It's probably going to be totally wrong, or maybe off by a few thousandths of a second, like it usually is. Ryan, however, coming into the final corner, plenty of inside curve. That's nicely done. If he's on a fresh set here, we should see a lap in the low 1 minute 3s, and it is 1 minute 3.097. is your fastest lap of the evening so far. So straight out of the blocks on a fresh set of tyres, there is the benchmark.
Yes, that's the critical one here as well, because that is a new set of soft tyres. If that's an old set of new tyres, an old set of soft tyres rather, I tell you what, we're absolute blinder, but I think that's a new set. Christian is on a lap as well, TRT, not expecting anything absolutely out the blocks from this man, but he's in this Q3 though, which is exactly what Tatum have been needing to do, to be perfectly honest with you. They just need to continue in the form and continue getting the points that they need in order to just, maximise any possibility of carrying over some form, maybe into the next game cycle, maybe into another season of the Legacy Division, assuming that Luke, has the time, to be perfectly honest with you, to get on with another long championship like this one. It's turn 10 though. Here comes Christian as he comes across the line with the DRS wide open. Will he be able to set anywhere near Rayan? He will not on this particular occasion, but 0.4 of a second separating him from the likes of Rayan. I tell you what though, Joseph, immediately out the blocks, Rayan showing that the full force of what TTM can bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Great lap there from Ryan, of course. Now, outlaps just about finishing. It will be Shizou Tom that's up next that we'll see a quick lap time from. Just an observation from Christian's lap time. In the mid to high speed corners, a lot more sliding, almost to the point where he was on the verge of going around. It doesn't look like a particularly stable car at all, does Christian. Maybe just getting it slightly wrong with the qualifying setup, trying to maybe extract a little bit too much, maybe a little bit too few clicks down where he should be on the downforce. George Anson's invalidated at the first corner, by the way, so he'll not get a valid lap time on this run. But yeah, Christian really struggling so far. Ryan's, on the other hand, polar opposite, but totally hooked up. He's in a great place with that car.
We've got about 2 or 3 minutes left of the poll before we let's have a quick look and see who you think your favourite is for pole position. Let us know in the chat if you've got a specific favourite in terms of the driver. I do think Rayan is probably going to be the favourite for this one, but I'm always a big fan of this man, TF10 Dirk. Let's be candid, Joseph, you've been obviously watching the Legacy Division throughout this season. If there's going to be any person that deserves the key of, or the name of unluckiest driver, him alongside Lafitte, I think, are probably going to be up there in terms of unluckiness throughout this season. I think Dirk was the one who ended up going through a big race, taking it all the way to the end in Qatar on an old set of tyres and then receiving a puncture right at the end when he was about 14 seconds in front of potentially winning the race for TF10. Dirk is... Look, he's never the consistent runner, is Dirk, but again, alongside Lafitte, he's definitely got one of potentially clinching the title of unlucky driver this season.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I always say that drivers create their own luck, but when you're as unlucky as some of these guys have been over this long season, you cannot say that at all. I won't particularly point fingers at who I think is the most unlucky, because I believe it only makes them worse sometimes. Sometimes I just want to see them have a good race and forget about all of that bad luck that they've once have. Good to see Tom, who historically has been unlucky. He's come alive. He's come back from a period where he hadn't been racing as consistently, and he's straight on the pace, all ready to try and clinch this title for Shizou. So there are some good stories, of course, that come from bad luck. George Ansley's having another go at this. He invalidated his first lap, as did TF10 Dirk. They are both going to complete laps in quick succession here. George Ansel, who top Q1, crosses the line, goes second on a second lap on those soft tyres, going into P2. Dirk invalidated again. That would have been enough to put him third. Yeah. So George Ansel now back on the pace, threatening pole position again. Could we see a TF10 pole tonight?
Yeah, that could be one as well. I think the pole is only a few seconds away from ending here in this one, because I think that could have been potentially an option. But I tell you what, really good stuff as Rayan goes even faster at 102.911. Wow. Really quick stuff from the TTM man. Here's Sergio, then is he validated? But what would it have been if he comes across the line right now? Would have only been a 103.5 from Sergio, so he would have been all the way down in P6 alongside Azim. So yeah, really interesting stuff at the moment. TF10 has suddenly switched on a little bit here as the poll is complete. Favourite for pole position, this is a little bit of feedback for you on this one here, Joseph. 47% of our viewers suggest Shizou are favourite for pole, EVE 26%, ET8 15%, 10% for someone else. So that someone else probably likes the TF10 at the moment. They have been sort of in and around the ballpark a bit, but they are getting close.
Yeah, TF10 and TTM both not options on that poll, so I'm surprised that someone else is the fewest voted there. Maybe people just picking the household name of Team Shizou being at the top of the championship. Sergio is trundling around. He's out of fuel. He'll have to get back into the pit lane pretty quickly, and we'll need a quick turnaround to get a fresh set of soft tyres on and go for pole position. There's a queue at the VCarb garage as TF10 Dirk just waiting his turn to get back in, but luckily for the pair of them, they've got plenty of time to sort themselves out and get back again. Will be interesting to see if anybody jumps the gun, goes for a slightly earlier lap out of sync of the rest, and I see a bit of movement, I think, in the Mercedes garage. Is one of their cars coming out? Yes, they are. That will be both of them at Mercedes. Have come out nose to tail. AGK and Harrison Holmes going slightly earlier. Can they add to their great story over the last few weeks? Have not had a pole position. They've had their first podium. Haven't had a pole. Is tonight the night?
26% of our viewers suggest that potentially one of these two will get pole position here tonight. Harrison yet to set a lap time, but AGK has been breathing down the neck of the front few. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up setting some kind of blistering lap time. Will he get into the 102s? The only person to get into the 102s tonight is Rayen with that blistering second run of a 102.9. If he improves further on that one, I tell you what, call 102.911 because there will be a fire out there on circuit. So 2.5 minutes to go. The question is on the cards for yourself, Joseph. I'm going to bring it back to you now. We've had a few more runs on this one. Any change for who you think could be on pole, or do you think this is still Rayen's?
I might have to change from Sergio now because he's not had a lap. He is, again, a bit late out of the pit lane compared to everybody else. Rayen, the first driver into the 1 minute 2s, that is going to take some beating unless one of these drivers can find nearly as much as 3-4 tenths on this lap. That is a really hard task at a circuit like this where it's really just micro improvements every single corner, and there's only 10 of them. It's really, really hard to find indeed. 15.9 first sector for AGK. Might I add, that is very, very good indeed. Anything in the 15s for the first sector, which really is just one corner, is where these drivers are looking to be aiming for. Down then in towards turn 4, another downhill braking zone, flicking the car in right, using as much as half his ERS already. We'll try and conserve some of it as he goes downhill now. The momentum of the car doing all the work here. Fifth gear, medium speed corner, nearly flat out as soon as he has that initial turn in. Flat out in 6th, coming through turn number 7 and then 8. Down the hill again, taking the shortest route in towards turn 9, where he'll attack that inside curb, not running wide on the exit, flicking in through turn 10, plenty of inside curb, still valid on the exit of the corner. AGK to the line. Oh, missing out by 200ths of a second. EVE's best opportunity for pole all season goes begging with one of their cars. Can Harrison Holmes? He's backed off. He's going again. He's got less fuel on board this time. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, keep an eye on that one as all the laps are coming in. By the way, Dirk has invalidated his lap. Sergio has also invalidated his lap, would you believe? Oh, no. Oscar is looking to improve. He's just invalidated his lap at turn 9 as well. It would have been 2900ths up, but he is now sitting a 103.1. He's off of the cards at the moment as well. Christian looking to try and improve, but we're going to go on board with Tom. Will he get anywhere near Rayen's lap time? He comes across the line. Oh, it's only P4 as it stands with a 103.4. He didn't actually improve on his lap time, so he's actually going to have another go on this one as well. Christian invalidates his lap time at turn 10 as well, would you believe? So he can't improve either at the moment, and in fact he can't even have another go at it either, because of course he invalidates this and next lap as a result of the turn 10 excursion. Azim gets going then to try see if he gets anywhere near. As it stands so far, TTM looking so sharp indeed through the likes of Rayen, but the question is will he be improving? He will not. He's invalidated his lap earlier on in the session. AGK of course not going to be improving. 20 thousandths up in the first sector alone for the likes of George Ansell. He needs to find at least another 10th in the second, as well as Rayen is around, but he's not going to be improving his lap time anytime soon. Here comes George Ansell then through the turn 6 and 7 complex. Will be any improvement? It's another 21 thousandths in the second sector. A little wiggle though going through turn 7. That will not help him at all. Is he going to be coming into the pit lane? No, he's not. He's going to go for the fastest line possible then through then 8 into 9. Tom goes third fastest with a 2.9 of his own. Will George Ansell get into the 2.9s? Oh, he won't. He's down in the end and will only be 3.1. So that will put him in P4. Christian will not be improving. Azim will be looking to try and get somewhere near. Oh, it's a 3.1 for him as well. He goes P4 overall as well. Sergio looking to improve. Where will he go? P5 in the end with a 103.1 of his own as well. 3 drivers with a 102.9. 4 drivers with a 103.1. In the end, though, it was always going to be about that man at the front. And looking like he was always going to be putting a lap time in. He pitted earlier on. He wasn't interested. Somebody else did take pole. TTM with Ryan.
Big Vettel moment there, I think, for Ryan. Getting a big lap time on the board midway through the session meant he didn't really have anything to do at the end. That 102.9 coming at the perfect time for TTM to take another pole position this season. That's their 5th. Only BRT have more on 6th. So their qualifying record has been exceptional. Their race record, only 1 win. So they'll be looking to convert that as they continue their pursuit of CPI, who are the 4th place team in this championship. EVE on the front row as they look for a second podium in 2 weeks. Tom out qualifying both ET8 drivers. Teammate Oscar, though, down in P9, not getting a lap on the board towards the end of the session. But, of course, both of those teams doing a lot more than BRT, who were out in Q2.
So that is it then. So TTM have managed to get 1 driver on pole position, exactly what they needed. Unfortunately, their other driver not able to get through to Q3, but an opportunity for them to close up the gap on the likes of CPI, both serving their qualifying ban tonight. Take a look at the standings, a reminder of those standings. 590 playing 577 in that battle for P4. ETA at least able to get 2 of their drivers up there, but Shazoo looking a little bit shaky. They need to take a big points haul tonight if they want to become champions. But as it stands, maybe just one hand falling slightly again off of the trophy, as ET8 are going to be at least able to score some big points tonight if they keep their races clean. And remember, they've got a very short points haul in terms of penalties before one of them ends up serving a qualifying ban. So just keep an eye on that one as we go forward into the race. In just a few short moments here at WOR Legacy Division, we'll be back for the Austrian Grand Prix. Don't go away. Hello there, folks. We are experiencing a few technical issues with just the new lobby, so we're just getting the final driver in, and eventually we'll be going live for the Austrian Grand Prix. Don't go away. It'll be a few minutes. Good evening there, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome back to WOR. This is the Legacy Division. It is myself, Jota, alongside Joseph, for what will be, I'm sure, a very intense Austrian Grand Prix. We are in for an absolute blinders. We've just had a few issues with getting people in the lobby, but we are about to get going for what will be, no doubt, a very intense Grand Prix ahead of us. The drivers here tonight, no doubt, are going to be on a flyer. Enzo couldn't make it through to Q3, but Rayan is on pole for tonight. TTM looking to try and bounce back and get some good points on the board, considering their closest co-compatriots, CPI, were both with qualifying bans. EVE, Harrison, AGK, absolute blinder of a qualifying from the pair of them, both into Q3. AGK on the front row. Christian getting through to Q3, but Mattia Manga struggling with internet connection issues. ET8 have both got both of their drivers through to Q3 alongside Shizou. So opportunity knocks. Shizou could win the championship tonight. With Supply Raptor and Nico for FRT, you've got Dirk and George, Ansel for TF10. You've got Owen and Justin, who struggled in qualifying. Never mind a driver A, driver B. It's driver B and C at the moment for the pair of them, with Fana Spinoda and Kiki GT10 at the back. So we are in for an absolute blinder, Joseph. Thank you very much for waiting on, folks, for what is going to be a no doubt and a very intense Austrian Grand Prix ahead of us. We should be in for an absolute blinder, to be perfectly honest with you here, Joseph. Very quickly, any early favourites potentially winning this one tonight?
Oh, it's a tough one. Qualifying I got totally wrong. Perhaps it'll be a similar story in the race. I am going to go for Tom Roberts, Shizou Tom, to win today's race. I think he's due that victory of his own. I feel like he's been a fantastic team player over the last few weeks, picking up great results. Here we go.
Here we go, with the hills are alive, with the sound of engines. No more waiting. Let's go racing here in Austria. And it's immediately a great start from Rayan. People caught a little bit off guard, I think, from the very early quick start. Late breaker from AGK. Might get switched back here from Shizou Tom, who goes down the inside line, then heading through into turn number 3. He's getting the toe as well, actually, from Rayan here in this one. He's going to get the move done. Surely going into turn 3. Is he boxed in? No, very easily done. Oh, we've got a bit of a tack slapper from Harrison. EVE getting involved into a collision. One driver doing well, the other struggling. Now down at the back is Zim and Sergio doing well in 4th and 5th place respectively. Oscar is in 8th as it stands so far. There won't be a championship win, but it is really, really intense on the first lap already.
I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like he just went sideways under braking, did Harrison. If anybody, I think an Aston Martin might have hit him in the rear, and I think that's Sergio. And speaking of Sergio, he's ghosting inside of TRT Christian at the moment. He's down to P7. Potentially some front wing damage if he did hit the back of the Mercedes. I think he's okay for the time being, but a dramatic spin at turn 3 for Harrison Holmes, who will not be there in the immediate time to support his teammate in AGK Racing. And Enzo Sabaton has got around a disastrous start for one of the Red Bulls as well. TTM chasing P4 in the championship. Now have a car right at the back. Gatkowski up to P17 already. DRS already open. Here comes further chaos. Yeah,
further chaos then. Second lap of 36. Shizou closing down the gap on Ray, and it is now a TTM sandwich officially. First to 20th between the two drivers as Mateo Manga racing with Gatkowski, of course, serving their qualifying bans down at the back are the McLaren CPI team here. A little bit of a mixed bag towards the front. We've got Azim looking to try and put pressure on AGK Racing. They're going side by side, going through into turn number 5, into turn 6 then, but easily held on from AGK, then losing a little bit perhaps of his ERS to stay in front of the ET8 man. George Ansel holding up as well. 2 positions gained for Christian, by the way. Really good start from him, and a great start from the BRT boys after a poor qualifying. 3 and 2 positions gained respectively. FRT doing decent with 2 and 2, but Gatkowski already up 5.
A great start from Gatkowski, elbows out already, trying to make positions up. That's what he does best. For the Polish driver into the pit lane. Then comes Harrison Holmes. I think there was some damage. I think he took a bite out of the wall on the left hand side on the approach to turn 3, and indeed a front wing change is required already, or rather not. There's certainly damage on the
Here comes
left-hand
Shizou
side.
Tom getting the move done. Oh, it's a collision with AGK getting in there as well. AGK looking to try get in there, but Azim also trying to open up the cards. Rayan going to lose one. Is he going to lose another potentially? Shizou Tom now leading this race, but 3 wide potentially going into turn number 4 on this particular occasion. Oh, a little bit of debris on circuit as well. Azim trying to get in there as AGK still holding on to P3. Side by side, he will go with Rayan Bakar, but Rayan easily going to hold on. Or is he going to go around the outside? He will not on this occasion find the grip. So Rayan now back down to P2, but Shizou Tom now leading this race here as he tries to manage the particular race pace here. Azim and AGK getting into their own little scrap as well. This is for P3 and P4. George Ansel just holding back and watching this battle happen. The DRS train is going to be a lot more aggressive at a circuit like this one. Overtakes are potentials, and overtakes galore is what we're expecting here in Austria tonight.
Yeah, it looks like a dry race all the way through as well, based on the choice of tyres. So this could well last the full 36 laps. Slightly wide moment there for Christian. Watch that in the background for P6. But again, on the approach in towards turn 3, Ryan gets the move. AGK boxed in. He might slide down the inside and take P2 here. Then it's the drag race on the exit. Who picks up the better traction? I think it was Shizou Tom there. More on the racing line on the exit of the corner. Christian and Sergio are side by side. Christian holding on then to P6. Positions not quite as interchangeable on this lap. But very quickly, going back to Harrison Holmes, I think he's back into the pit lane. He is. That is because, well, A, he's back onto hards to complete the race, and B, I think he's finally had the front wing change he desired.
Owen now started to fall down the standings pretty aggressively. He's down in P16 and P17 as it stands so far. Justin is just going to be getting the scraps of points as it stands for BRT at the moment. What will be a really, really big smile on the face of ETA. Despite only being 4th and 7th, they'll be overtaking BRT in the standings as it stands so far. On lap 5 of 36, though, we've got 31 laps of racing still to go, though. Anything can happen in Formula 1, especially in the Legacy Division, and it usually does. George Ansel up to 5th place now after that battle with the likes of Christian. He's now looking down the sort of neck, if you will, of Azim. Is he going to go for it on this occasion? He's certainly found a little bit of a gap and locks up the rear a little bit as well. That might invite Sergio into the mix, but George Ansel just able to get the traction out of the corner. It's definitely looking like turn 3 is going to be a bit of a hot spot. Turn 4 potentially could be as well. Sergio getting the move done. Oh, he nearly went for the double as well. He wouldn't have been able to get the move done on George Ansel at all there, but he's actually now welcoming Christian straight back into the battle here. I think Christian's got damage. He does. He's got actually a missing end plate on the left-hand side, so he's going to be hemorrhaging time as his hard tyres get shredded by the understeer, as Dirk is trying to get the move done on the Ferrari as quick as he possibly can. He knows that the damage is there after just having a little peek. The move's surely going to be there, done, and dusted. He's up to 7th. Great move, and make that now down to 9th as Justin gets the move to P8 as well. Looking very aggressive is tonight, it's Justin.
Yeah, again, Justin really tried to respond. We weren't bad-mouthing him. We were just saying potentially he's left a lot to be desired in the last few weeks when he has been racing, but he's on a good comeback course at the moment. And here he goes then on TF10 Dirk. Further forward, AGK Racing. He's the car boxed in on the outside. No move for the leader. Oh, a slight bit of contact there. George Ansel and the Aston Martin of ETA Azim there. Again, this is what we're alluding to about the penalty points. You break a few meters too late, you are sending cars into a half spin. There's no doubt about it. One of these hairpin bends.
George Ansel going for the move around the outside. What a move if that one works. And I think, as you know, it gets the move done on Azim. Is he going to get the move done as well on AGK? What a move from the TF10 man. The Spanish team will be smiling ear to ear from the move from George Ansel, who's now up to the podium positions after a fabulous move around the outside against Azim. He got the inside on the next corner against AGK and a double move into as many corners. Fantastic stuff from George Ansel.
7 teams have won a race this season. TF10 are not one of them, but AGK has responded on the exit of the final corner of all places. You don't often see a move on the start-finish straight. He's back up into P3. It's hard to believe we're already 7 laps into this race. They come back. They come round in about 1 minute and 5 seconds, don't they, on this circuit? The race at a very quick pace indeed. AGK having a little look. But again, bit of extra brake pressure, slowing the car down nicely. This race requires an awful lot of concentration. one lapse in it, and again, there will be incidents. Let's hope it's not so soon, though.
All right, here comes the board. Oh, I was going to say a boring administration update. We'll hold that off at the moment because Azim is getting up close and personal with George Ansell. He's had a great previous lap. This next lap has not been the best with George Ansell, but very well defended down the inside of turn 6 as well as Justin. Again, very angry at the moment. He's got a point to prove as Justin. He knows that the pressure is on him at the moment. The individuals that are put him under pressure just because he's out of form, but he's definitely got the pace to be up there at the moment. Now up to P6, trying to close down on Azim. A little bit of an admin update. We've got a bunch of people complaining about lag in this particular lobby. Shouldn't be a surprise, unfortunately, as a result of the challenges that we've got with people even just connecting into this lobby. So who knows? Maybe even the stewards will say that this race is invalid at the end of this one. We nearly had that chance at China, but well, the results still stood in that particular one. Azim looking to try and get the move done. Oh, he's found a gap. Is he going to get the double then? Oh, the move done on George Ansell. He might have the traction, you know. Here comes George Ansell trying to defend on the outside line as he got the toe. He's getting the toe from the likes of Azim, but Azim then helping then potentially, that's AGK helping the likes of Azim around the outside. George Ansell will go to take that position. He's still going to be side by side just with Azim, but the move is well and truly held on to. Very good from George Ansell. He's able to attack, but he's certainly able to defend tonight.
Yes, indeed. There's been a lot of really aggressive overtaking and defending going on. It's been the best of both worlds, you have to say. On the lag, we have swapped hosts from qualifying to the race, hoping that would improve the situation. Maybe it's just an EA thing, EA service thing at this time of the evening, who knows? But on my end, there's no real cause for concern. Maybe that lap 1 incident was as a result of lag. George Ansell around the outside of Azim. I think a kick salver front wing has just gone flying. I saw a bit of green fly off, and it was certainly of the line variant. And yes, Justin has got end plate damage on the left-hand side.
Oh, it's going to be a late breaker as well from Sergio, who tries to get the double. Not just on Justin, but his own teammate, but in the end, able to just hold on. Justin has got end plate damage as a result of that collision. George Ansell tried to hold on for dear life around the outside line, and unfortunately has caused a bit of a concertina effect, and that's resulted now in damage for Justin as BRT's race goes from bad to worse. Their race weekend has been appalling, to put it bluntly, and what an absolute shocker it's now going to be for Justin as he gets into a collision with the likes of Raptor. Oscar and Nico also in the mix as well. Looks like got a bit of ghosting happening involving the Shazoo man. Remember, they're potentially in a championship hunt tonight, is Oscar and Shazoo. Remember, last thing they need is to get any more penalty points. One more and they'll have a qualifying ban to contend with at the next race in Monza. They really need to keep very calm and collected, do the championship leaders.
Already we're seeing the managers scrambling to the ticket incident thing, thread bot thing that they use to complain about every little thing. And well, yes, every point does count, and already some costly moments in this race. I think George Ansell might face a little bit of trouble. I don't think he left a car's width there. I think the Aston Martin was more than halfway alongside to be warranted some room. That's just my opinion on the incident. I know you guys don't like commentators giving viewpoints, so we'll try to avoid that if we can. By the way, can we talk about FRT? 15th and 16th they started in this race. They're 9th and 10th. This has been one of their best early race showings for a long time. Great work by Nico and Raptor after the pole qualifying to really pick off half the field. They've got CPI and Shazoo and Oscar, I should say, right behind them.
Yeah, this is the race pace that I'm expecting. This is the pace I was expecting from FRT, from Nico and Raptor. Couldn't quite show it in qualifying, but they've managed to find it in the race. Now up to 9th and 10th place, as you rightfully point out. Justin, with that front wing damage, now starting to lose a bit of time now to the back of Dirk. Gap is around about half a second. He'll still have DRS though on the back of the TF10 man. George Ansell looking to try and get in there as well, as we've got potentially an overtake occurring here at the front. Rear lock up for George Ansell as Tom gets the move done on Rayan, but Rayan's got the traction, and now we're potentially going 4x4. We're going 2x2 here, and it's a potentially a bit of a checkerboard pattern between the four of them here. Who's going to come out on top though? excuse me, there's definitely a collision involving the likes of George Ansel, a little bit of lagging as well, but Rayen still coming out on top, or is he? As Tom may go around the outside of the next corner. What a move this will be if it gets this one done. They're still side by side going through into turn 6, but surely the move is done and dusted here as Rayen holds on. AGK is still going side by side with George Ansel, but the TF10 man is determined to still be in the podium positions, but AGK still just able to hold on to P3 at the moment. It is mighty close at the moment between the midfield runners. It's absolutely fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it's so close. Nose to tail between everybody, and a move possibly for Azim there. And he didn't want to repeat what happened on the previous lap, where he went down the inside of George Ansel at T1 and was denied any sort of racing room. Justin is holding on in this train. That's all he can do at this point. Needs a safety car or something to mitigate the time lost from potentially changing that front wing if he feels he has to. Right on the outside goes Rayen on AGK Racing. Azim and Sergio, they'll be giving each other more room as teammates, but they won't be doing that at the front. Rayen looking to go around the outside again, doesn't have to, and a smash up the rear. And I think that was the V-carb again of George Ansel hitting the rear end of AGK. Justin and Dirk swapping positions, and Dirk rams into the back.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry to interrupt here, Joseph. We've got front wing damage now for Sergio. He's missing an end plate on the left-hand side, which may have resulted in that collision. Left end plate damage for Justin as well means that he knows that where that front wing issue is for the pair of them. He's managed to take advantage and is now up to P7. Dirk holding on to P6, but Azim still holding on to the back of George Ansel at the moment. George is trying to hold on like a lion out there at the moment, but you've got to argue that he is starting to get quite aggressive to watch out there at the moment. It's actually causing the front runners of this particular championship to end up colliding with each other in the midfield, which is absolutely, well, let's be honest, it opens the championship up greatly as we're watching here a battle between Shazoo, Tom and TTM's Rayen Bakar. Rayen and Tom have been fighting hammer and tong pretty much throughout this entire race, as we've got more people fighting in the midfield. This is for the final spot on the podium. AGK is defending it. He may end up being forced into trying to make a move against Rayen Bakar here. This is not really where AGK wants to be, because he knows that the battle in front of him is not really what he's looking for. He's looking to just hold on for a second podium in a row for EVE as it stands. But Azim is really breathing down the neck of AGK, and he's definitely in his mind at the moment, definitely in his head.
Nico up to 8th, by the way, now overtaking the damaged Sergio. Still great progress in the FRT camp, and really a team to look out for later on in this race. They've got damaged cars still in front of them as well. Cars that may face penalties, but still a long, long way to go. If they can hold position in that area, they are in for a fantastic result this evening, but still far too early to call. We're less than halfway through this Austrian Grand Prix, where TTM Rayen is looking to go back past Shazoo Tom for the lead of this race. He'll break a bit earlier. And this is where the incidents happen. It's that DRS detection point. Cars break earlier on the inside. There's cars behind trying to make overtakes. And that's where the concertina happens. That's where we see damage and contact.
Rayen going for the move down the inside line. He had a horrible turn number 4, but managed to hold on. Turn number 3, and managed to hold on for turn number 4 to retake the lead after falling as low as 3rd in this particular race. As Tom is holding on from Azim, who surely isn't going to get the move done there. AGK now down to 4th place in the end. It's been fantastic racing to watch, to say the least, with the two TF10 boys now 5 and 6 respectively. Just as an FYI, by the way, in terms of the points haul, there will be no champion crown tonight. It shouldn't be any surprise as it stands so far, because it is a real mixed bag, this Austrian Grand Prix. We're not even halfway into this race so far, and it is very much open and honest about who you think the race victor is going to be in this one, because I've got no clue. That is for certain. Rayen is just holding on, but surely a move is going to be imminent here. Azim is actually trying to box in the likes of the Shazoo driver, but elects in the end not to go for it. Here comes then Tom down the outside line of turn number 3. Azim is also looking for it as well, but surely will get squeezed off. And AGK also looking for it, but Rayen is trying his hardest here to go for the attack. The move is certainly there. Is he going to go for the move going into turn 4? He is side by side with the Alpine Renault, but the move is surely going to be done and dusted, and TTM then retake the lead of this Grand Prix. Azim still holding on for P3 with AGK and P4, but Dirk also trying to get up the gearbox now of AGK, but Justin is battling hard with the likes of George Ansel, who squeezed onto the gravel, and he's now going to lose positions left, right and centre. You've got to be honest, he's been holding on for dear life, and eventually it's just fallen out of favour for the TF10 man, who is now down to 12th. Justin has got that front wing damage, is up to 6th. Nico now up to 7th for FRT.
Yeah, he had a wide moment there, tried to rejoin the track, and then, of course, there was no room there for him. He was barged off the circuit, front tyre contact, and that sent him into a half spin, and ultimately picked up damage from that smash he had when he rejoined the circuit. More damage there, but better, of course, news for FRT. Right, down the inside, go Shazoo Tom. Again, we'll just hold back, get the DRS for the second straight on the run towards turn number 4, and he should retake the lead of this one. Still a question of lag. I don't think it's too severe at this moment in time, potentially contributing to some of these incidents. Tom tried to find a way around the outside, tried to do the switchback, but then, of course, AGK Racing was sat on the apex in his own battle with Azim. You have to have such spatial awareness in this race. It is really like a NASCAR race for 36 laps on end, except we've got proper racing cars in this one.
Yeah, they're racing side by side at the moment as well, Joseph, and I tell you what, everyone just hold on for dear life, because it is very much like a roller coaster at the moment on this, the highest point in the European calendar, the Austrian Grand Prix, with all of the hills of the Styrian Mountains. It doesn't surprise you that everyone is battling as hard as they possibly can, with lap 17 of 36, with just before halfway in this race now. And as it stands again, I can't tell you who's going to be favourite for the race victory. As it stands so far, you've still got Justin with that front wing damage, still breathing down the neck of everyone else. So they're going potentially too wide into this corner. They will be here between Azim. Here comes Dirk as welcome himself as well. Oh, as Azim has been squeezed off the circuit. Don't go 3 wide there, as Justin is trying his hardest to get into that mix. He just bails out of what could have been a pretty aggressive incident. AGK trying to hold on down the inside against Dirk, but it may be a little collision. Oh, it's well managed, to be fair, from Dirk here, as we've got more battle happening just behind. Azim trying to get in the battle alongside the likes of AGK. AGK now falling as low as 5th. Is it potentially going to be 6th as Nico is going to get in there? He is going to go down the inside line, but the traction is surely there. Or is it? No, it's just a little bit of a wiggle, but we'll still hold on for P5. Nico is breathing down the neck here. FRT are suddenly becoming a little bit of a dark horses for a big points haul tonight.
Shazoo Oscar has come into the pit lane. An early roll of the dice from Team Shazoo then on the end of lap 17. He's looking to undercut a little bit higher up into this train. He's lost a few positions based on what's going on, and now he can't recover them. So what they're going to do is get on a new set of tyres and see if that can help his chances in this race. First pit stop happening there as Tom goes up the inside of Ryan. No, bit of ghosting there as they make wheel-to-wheel contact on the apex of the corner, and they're now side by side. TF10 Dirk looking to get involved and take the lead potentially. Is he going to go down the inside? No, he breaks a bit earlier, and Tom holds on to P1. Still side by side between two sister Red Bull owned cars, and now Dirk looking to squeeze on the inside and then around the outside at turn number 6. Tom's not giving him an inch, and he just about stays on the circuit. I'd say that was pretty respectful. Tom knew what he was doing there, shrinking the gap, but it wasn't enough to put him off the circuit.
Rayan and Azim getting into their own little scrap, as well as Azim tries to welcome himself into the battle. There's a front wing issue involving Dirk. I think Dirk has collided into the back again of a slow car in front of him. He did it last week, he's done it again. And now he is going to have to change his front wing very quickly. Justin will now go in front, well, Azim will go in front of Justin from Nico, who are extending their pit stops. Look at the two CPIs, who are now up to 5th and 6th respectively. But of course, everyone now pitting for a fresh set of medium tyres. Is Dirk getting that front wing change? I think he is. He's getting caught up though by a bunch of people who are leaving the pit lane. So who's leaving out in front? It looks like out of the medium tyre runners, Shazoo Tom is leaving alongside, would you believe, Shazoo Oscar, who has now made the undercut work an absolute treat. I tell you what, that is strategy genius from Team Shazoo.
That is amazing. Now a Shazoo net 1-2. Oscar was 11th on the road, would you believe it? And now Shazoo potentially on for a third 1-2 in 4 races. Unprecedented scenes here at the Red Bull Ring. Oscar now your net race leader. He's now in a wonderful, wonderful position, but he's got to overtake Enzo first, who is not going to make this easy. Enzo! He's just there, and they make contact on the apex of the corner. Maybe Oscar turned in a little bit too early trying to take the optimal line, I'm not sure, but the way the car reacted there, I feel like that was just a racing incident.
Well, no risk is what Team Shizou will be saying. Hopefully no damage for the likes of Oscar. Say hopefully in Team Shizou's case. Is there going to be a front wing change for Justin? There is not. Justin is going to maintain the end plate damage. He thinks he can continue on without any issue. Team Shizou going 1 and 2. Well, going side by side, going through there. Dirk and Rayan getting into their own little scrap. They're still side by side are the two Red Bull and RB cars at the moment, but Rayan surely just going to tuck in behind, use a little bit of the toe. Is he going to get the move done? He's certainly looking for it. Later breaker from Dirk. Shizou are going to have to hold on here, but they're losing a bunch of time with a bunch of drivers that are very quick out there, and no doubt Tom is immediately using some of his ERS to just get in front of the likes of Dirk. He doesn't want to be scrapping here. Team Shizou want to be maintaining the lead of this little gap of medium tyre runners here, because as it stands so far, they have got not just one hand on the trophy, but it's certainly more than just a pinky now.
Really good question, actually, by Matthias Carper in the chat, saying, why did they box Ryan? They had Enzo there to try and do some of the hold-up work. Well, it wasn't going to last long, really, has it? Enzo's lost a lot of positions already, but I do agree in that they probably could have afforded an extra lap with Ryan still on the circuit. But I don't think it's been too detrimental to their race. Ryan is still in a net P4. Owen is coming to the pit lane. Still the two CPI cars yet to pit with a 1-2, having started 19th and 20th. The safety car now could give them an unbelievable shot and a really good result here. The CPI drivers, Oscar still net leading the way ahead of Tom. This has kind of settled down all of the DRS chaos, hasn't it? They know they've now got a duo to try and overtake rather than just a car on its own.
Tom is holding on for dear life here to avoid getting overtaken. It's going to be around the outside. It will have to be for Dirk, but no move is there, and it's actually opened the door for the for the likes of Rayan, who is getting really up close and personal with the back of that Alpine, and around the outside he will go of Dirk. If that move works, that's absolutely brilliant, fantastic from Rayan, the pole sitter, who will be hoping to try now and get the overtake done on the likes of the Shizou team that have got one hand on that trophy. As it stands so far, they're still not champions. But if this works out and everything works in their favour, they could be taking the trophy here tonight. BRT are a lost cause at the moment in 8th and 13th place, with one of them with major front wing damage. The other team at the moment, though, is about ET8, and they are still within the touching distance of those on the medium tyre runners, but they've got so many cars in front of them. They're going to be losing points hand over fist to Team Shizou, and it might not be tonight, but it certainly is looking very much likely that the Scottish outfit are going to go out with a bang and become the first double champions of this particular tournament. But that is then, this is now. We're on board with the likes of AGK, and would you believe TF10 Dirk once again around the outside around turn 3 with the toe of the Rayan in front. AGK gets the move done, he's now up to P6. We've got a later breaker from one of the RBs. It's Dirk, who's trying to go side by side the likes of Justin as a double lockup, which is not going to help the cause at all for the tyres, as Azim now gets the move done and moves up to P8. There is just so many situations happening all around the field at the moment.
Race winners in Hungary, GT10 having an issue. Key was around, I think, under traction. Turn 3. Jeslar now comes into the pit lane. He's the first of the two CPI cars to come in. And we'll see where they come out in this one. They were making, again, good progress just outside the top 10. And I think they'll have to make some more overtakes now to get back to the position that they were in. Bit of the time management at the front to prolong the life of their hard tyres. That 23 of 36, almost 2/3 of the way through this race. Shizou still on potentially, as I say, for a third 1-2 in 4 races. Here comes Ryan, though, to try and disrupt that. He's around the outside of Shizou Tom. But again, good defending, that boxing in process that Shizou can now afford to do. But Ryan, he's been very happy on that battery this evening. Shizou Tom having to respond to maintain his position. Maybe hit him going into turn number 4. That was almost very bad indeed. Shizou Tom having a little push through on his teammate. He's getting boxed in now. Tom and Oscar, they will not tolerate that as they remain in that net 1-2. What is Ryan doing?
Oh, so late on the brakes. I don't know if he got caught in the dirty air, if he just absolutely did not hit his braking point at all. But Rayan has now got major front wing damage on the front left-hand end plates. That is no doubt going to be it in terms of his absolute race pace. The question is he going to be able to hold off the likes of Justin? He also has end plate damage. I think don't think it's Azim that's got damage. I think it's his teammate Sergio who has got damage for the likes of ETA. So Azim is actually in a really good position, as is EVA AGK. If they work with each other, they might be able to get the move done no issue on the likes of Justin and Rayan with that major front wing damage. But he's still looking for the move, is Rayan. He knows that he's got the front wing damage. Is he going to understeer off the track in the likes of Shizou Tom? Shizou Tom sees it coming and now wants to use the toe of the car in front to get the move done. The question is that inside line going to do? Oh, as we've got Gatkowski with major issues in terms of his internet. Rayan trying to get the move done. He's now back in the lead of this race despite the wing damage. Oh, Justin is in the gravel. He's losing positions hand over fist himself now, as Nico is now up to 5th place of all people, would you believe. Azim and Tom are still battling at the moment between these two here. Tom really could do with not losing any more positions. Shizou have got to work with each other in this one. Oscar's doing his best to help Tom around, but Rayan has got that front wing damage. They'll be able to claw back the positions here. Here comes Nico around the outside of turn 9. What a move this could be for Nico as he gets the move done around turn 10. He's still battling with the likes of Azim though going into turn 1. DRS available for both of the drivers. Justin going forward, going 2x2 into turn number 1. The move is done and Justin gets the move done, but Nico can't hold on for P4 in the end as Azim holds back on. There's just so much action happening all over the place.
To quote Martin Brundle in some respect, oh, never mind.
It's a massive collision. It's awful. It's awful at turn 3. Everyone's got involved in a bunch of collisions. We've got a Shizou driver. We've got a BRT driver. We've got an ET8 driver. All of the top 3 have got involved in some kind of collision tonight. It's getting really messy out there. There's going to be qualifying bans, I think, in the next race. No doubt about it. But one thing is for certain is that everything's getting intense. Shizou Tom has now got a 10-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining a position as a result. We'll let the stewards decide on that one. What a time for Gatkowski to get back into the race, because he's going to be watching some real shindigs happening out there at the moment. Rayan still holding on, by the way, with that front wing damage. Oscar is now on his own out there, but suddenly, out of nowhere, BRT have got a driver on the podium. I said they were a lost cause. I was wrong.
Yeah, amazingly, they could potentially outscore now. Team should do this evening. It depends on what Justin does. Tom runs wide on the exit of turn 1, and then I think that was Dirk getting a push in the rear potentially.
Oh, three wide. This is going to be a bit messy, I think, if this goes completely wrong. As seen, we've got 3 ghosted cars at turn number 3. AGK's trying to get the move done on the likes of Tom, but Azima's up in P8 with Justin in P7. Ansel has got the move done on Dirk, who's now down to P13. AGK is trying his hardest, but he's now only as low as P10. It has just been an absolute stinker, to be honest with you, in terms of racecraft, as people have been just trying to hold on, but with the front wing damage everywhere, no one knows where they're going to end up as a result. We've got 10 laps to go in this race, by the way, folks. Rayan's still holding on with that front wing damage. Oscar, no doubt, will be trying his hardest to just hold off on the back of Rayan and get the move done at the end. But you've got so many quick drivers behind that just want to get a move done. No doubt he's going to be pushed into doing something he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, without a doubt then. Into turn 1 once again. Hopefully no issues on the exit this time. Looks pretty clean from a very fortunate vantage point in the commentary position where we can see everything, and we can see the move again for the race lead from Oscar. Rayan, though, he's not going to give it up without a fight. All evening he's been doing this. A car with damage, pushing Team Shizou with the race leaders all the way in this one. Would be a pretty heroic victory, though it hasn't come without any contact if he could get it over the line. Owen ahead of Oscar now. This is brilliant for Oscar. Freshest tyres. Best position now to overtake Rayan, who, dare I say it, Owen could bridge some of the gap here and potentially go on to win this race.
Oh, it's just an absolute mixed bag at the moment. Obviously, we're not going to be making any progress in terms of potentially crowning a champion tonight. If anything, as it stands so far, BRT are actually going to gain points on Team Shizou at a rate of only 9 points. But every point counts with this season being as close as it has been. But as it stands so far, BRT, which looked like it was going to be completely over and done with, certainly are now back in the championship well, at least closing down the gap on the likes of Team Shizou. It's only 9 points, but it is more than enough to be in this championship hunt still. Here comes Rayen, then the move is done and dusted. It is Oscar to go for it. Oh, it's a little bit of a bump up the bum on the back end, as here comes Sergio, as my watch is telling me I'm stressed. I think everyone else is stressed out there at the moment, as Sergio now back up to P3, and Shizou are now off of the podium.
Yeah, entirely. I'm plugging in some of the numbers to try and work out how this stands. Shizou are being outscored by 22 points, so a swing in favour of BRT. What a story it could be if they could keep this going right to the end of a 24-race season. They're still not favourites as it stands, but this would be a monumental result in the context of the championship. The night that they could have lost it for good. They are back in the fight, all without... people saying in the live chat, Owen with no laps of practice.
Yeah.
Who needs practice?
He joined late.
Like this?
He joined late. He joined late, Joseph, and he's now right at the front of this field and actually gaining on the likes of Rayen at the moment, who's now just going to have to stomach the fact that he's also got front wing damage, I think, as well. I think he's missing an end plate on the left-hand side. Am I mistaken? I'm not. He's missing an end plate as well, would you believe, is Rayen. So this is a situation for TTM. They're going to be at least gaining points on the likes of CPI, with one driver, Gatkowski, struggling with internet connection issues. But as it stands so far, it's not going to be as many as they wanted. Sergio is trying his hardest. He knows that he's going to drive in front. Oh, here comes a dive from Nico. This is exactly what I was expecting from the Future Racing team. They are quick around here. They couldn't get the qualifying pace, but the race pace is on there, and they've got one driver on the podium.
They could be on for their first podium since Silo took one for them back in Spain. Nico from 16th, he qualified, now up into P3. And what I was going to say earlier, in the words of Martin Brodler, he is actually perfectly balanced ambition and adhesion this evening. Aggressive overtakes, but nothing really to complain about. He's been faultless in his progression up through the field, as has FRT Raptor, by the way, who had connection issues of his own. He's been battling some sort of adversity in this race, and now he's in a support role to his teammate, potentially taking a podium. FRT must be absolutely shaking legs on the pit wall. Pretend there's a camera cutting to Harvey's bedroom or something, and it's his legs just bouncing up and down in nervousness. And here he goes for P2 potentially. He forces Rayen into the move down the inside. The damaged TTN car still throwing everything at the race victory, and it's Nico that could be there to pick up the pieces. Yeah, Nico really sensing it out there. 6 laps to go. It's now very much a sprint to the end here. Nico really senses, he knows that Rayen has got that wing damage. He knows that that's a situation that could force him into making a mistake, and whether it means that he could get the double or at least get P2 and close it down on Owen, that is the question. I argue Nico's probably the fastest man on circuit at the moment. He is really looking very rapid out there at the moment on 10 lap old mediums. DRS available for that Williams racing car, but he's trying his hardest to get as close as he possibly can. I don't think the move's going to be done into 1, but he certainly could be looking for it into turn 3. We're on board with Rayen. Is now that wing going to become a significant issue going into turn 3? Is Nico going to go for the dive going into turn 3? He's certainly looking for it, but the move not quite there just yet, and the traction is there for Rayen, so the move is not going to be done. Is he lining it up later down the line, or is he looking behind him? Is Sergio getting in there? Remember, he's got front wing damage as well. Yeah, I've never seen more damaged cars in a race, to be honest. It's not really affecting play too much. Yeah, maybe just a slight loss of time through the corners, but actually it's a beneficiary down the straights. Slightly less drag, slightly less aero, you're going quicker on the straights. That's how this game works, and that of course is going to be the difference when it comes onto the final lap. But Rayen really struggling in the middle sector, as you can see. DRS is his saving grace. Still don't rule him out, despite being 7/10 behind, and now 8 coming through the final corner. Again, I said that Owen could be the driver to bridge the DRS gap, purely because he doesn't have damage and he has the 2-lap pressure tyres. It could still happen if Rayen fails to close up on one of these straights. Jesler up into P6. People still saying, and I rightfully agree, he is one of the favourites for this race. 5-lap pressure tyres with Oscar, who he's going to make a move on here, down the inside, late braking, lovely move indeed. If he can get it slowed down, he has, and he has the better traction, big on the pressure tyres, he's 5th. Yes, and this is the thing, out of the top 6 at the moment, there are only 2 drivers without front wing damage. It's Owen and Jesler. So as it stands now, the CPI man, remember, so late on the brakes in comparison to the front 4. I tell you what,
This could be magnificent from Czeslaw. I can't remember where he started. Was it 19th or 20th? If he ends up winning this race, are we going to see a last to first challenge if he did start 20th? That would be magnificent. If you could let me know, that would be fantastic, Joseph. But I'll tell you what, 32 and 36, 4 to go. He's suddenly looking like a really quick one as well. Nico is trying his hardest to get as close as he possibly can. Correction, he doesn't have front wing damage either, but he is trying to battle with the likes of Rayen.
Yeah, he is indeed. I don't have Gatkowski as a friend. I think that's what people are asking you to do. I don't have a request or anything, so I can't do anything with that at the moment. Gatkowski's race was basically run anyway when his AI decided to pit him for soft. So a shame to see that, because he was in a similar position to Czeslaw. Nico again. He's been dive bombing a lot. It's not all been bad. Maybe that instant where I first jinxed him when I was going on what I was about to say about Martin Brundle, that has cost him that damage in this race.
Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness me, he's trying to go for the move. Sorry into turn 4, sorry to interrupt, Joseph. It'd be interesting to see if we could find where Czeslaw actually started, if you could take a look at the race director, because if he is P20, he is a dark horse potentially. It was 19, so it won't be a last to first challenge for Czeslaw, but it will be last to first effectively for CPI, that is for certain. He's now up to P4, he's racing with the likes of Sergio. He's got front wing damage. Move is done and dusted for the McLaren. He's trying to go around the outside. Surely the move is not there though, with the front wing damage, the lack of downforce on the front. Oh, we've got Oscar also getting in the mix. Sorry, Tom also getting in the mix as well. Now up to P5 for the Shazoom man here. Nico is trying his hardest to close down the gap on the likes of Rayen, but even with that front wing damage, that Red Bull is still mighty quick around this circuit. Czeslaw is trying to get at least a podium here for CPI and try and mitigate the damage from TTM. TTM needed to have both of their drivers at the front. They haven't, and they're paying the price.
Yeah, they are. Here we go again then. Towards turn number 4 then. Shazoo Tom, first and foremost, has overtaken Sergio. They're still in wheel-to-wheel combat. Tom looking to stay ahead of Sergio at all costs, of course, because they don't want to be outscored at all by ET8. They're now in a position to set up winning the title next week. They outscore as it stands. You're just plugging in the numbers because they're changing all the time, but yeah, Shazoo outscoring ET8 by about 7 points at the moment, so they're doing enough in that sense to all but eliminate ET8 in this championship fight, and Tom looking to do everything to try and defend, to give Oscar the opportunity to get through on him. 2 laps to go then when we cross the line. Rayen and Nico, the damaged car, still giving it everything. Czeslaw on the freshest tyres of them all, looking to win this race from 19th on the grid. They went long when everyone was fighting, and now they're in a position to win heroically in this race.
Got a race with someone who's also got a full front wing though. Czeslaw wants to get this move done on Nico. Nico has been trying his hardest to hold on for FRT to potentially go for the move. Oh, it's going to be a later breaker. Oh, it nearly is a collision, but he is getting side by side with the likes of Ray and FRT's Nico. Not going to get the traction out the corner though. It's not going to be about Czeslaw. It is going to be about the Williams. He needs to get this move done against Czeslaw and put at least a car behind him. Oh, he's going to get caught out, I think. Oh, Czeslaw going to go for the move down the inside, then going into turn 4. They are going to go side by side with each other, and he's going to get boxed in. Surely he's not going to go for it. He is looking for it around the outside, then a turn 5. What a move from the likes of Czeslaw. That is such a brave move considering the ramifications of the situation for CPI. He now wants to get the move done on Rayen, and they'll be outscoring, would you believe, TTM after all of that one. It is looking a little bit shaky, to say the least. On that front here, he's not got no grip whatsoever, has Rayen, as they start the final lap of this race. Very quickly, Joseph, it's been absolute blinder, to say the least, but all the action is looking pretty sharp. Look at here, here comes Tom looking to get past Czeslaw. He gets a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Sorry, it's looking like I'm going to have to finish it before I get your thoughts on this one here, Joseph. Here comes Rayen. Is he going to go for the move for Owen? He's not on this occasion. He's looking for it. Going into turn 4, would you believe? Squeezed off of the circuit is FRT Nico. He's now down to P5. It is all about the front, though. Is he going to go for the dive down the inside? He's squeezed, is Rayen, as Owen tries to get the switch back. It's absolute perfection from the BRT man, who gets the move back and takes P1 straight back out of the hands of Rayen, who has now got dead tyres, a dead front wing. No! Oh, he's off of the circuit, is Owen. How is he hold on for that particular corner? Rayen is also off of the circuit as well, would you believe, after all of this. Kiki's got the fastest lap of the race, so there's no ramifications for the front three in terms of the fastest lap. But is Jeslar going to be able to get it done at turn 10? I doubt it, but it is going to be out of nowhere. BRT winning this race tonight here in the Styrian Mountains. Oh, it's an absolute stinker in terms of penalties. Rayhead finishes in second from Nico, from Raptor in fifth, with Oscar splitting the pair. Jeslar finishing in the end in sixth from Sergio, from Justin, Azim, and Tom is your final top 10. What a mess!
7th win of the season for BRT, who announced their closure at the weekend at the end of the Legacy Division season, and it has come with an unreal switchback. Ryan absolutely sold himself there, going straight down the inside of Owen, but of course he'd had the damage and he understeered into oblivion. Owen picked up the pieces. He almost threw it away himself. What a final lap for the ages here in the Legacy Division. Nico is on the podium provisionally for FRT, though we understand that there will be investigations for perhaps some of the top 5. At least 2 or 3 cars, I think, will be facing a word or a report, which the stewards will have to deal with. The standings are coming in live based on what we know from the provisional race result. We'll get across that in a minute. As it stands, though, Shazoo lead the championship by 73 points now.
So that means that BRT have managed to close down the gap on Team Shazoo by 22 points, with a first and an 8th place finish. Very much driver A, driver B in that scenario, but it doesn't matter. They've closed down the gap, and look as he steers on to the podium for the likes of Owen, who gets the top step of the podium alongside Justin in P8. It's P4 and P10 in the end for Team Shazoo, and 7 and 9 for ET8. So ET8 have actually been outscored by Team Shazoo by 8 points. That really will hamper their chances of winning this championship. BRT, though, have closed down that gap, and as I said, it just takes one DNF for one of the drivers, and it could actually cause the entire grid to fall completely off. And remember, so many situations that happened out on circuit here tonight. BRT and Shazoo may end up facing a 1 qualifying ban for one of their drivers as a result of that one, but that is going to be it. We won't have the grid, I don't think, or the final standings, because of course this game is terrible for that particular glitch. But what we will do is go very quickly to the calendar, because of course we have only got 2 rounds left. We are at Monza in a week's time for round number 23 of this particular championship. Belgium, the Spa de Francorchamps may be the final race, but it may be the championship decider. It could be Monza for all we know. It has just been an absolute mess in here in Austria. Final thoughts, Joseph. If that's anything to go by, they're going to fight tooth and nail to win this championship this season.
Yeah, I thought we might have had some reprieve in the next 2 races from the DRS trains, and then I saw that it was Monza and Spa to finish off the season. If there were 2 tracks on par, if not worse, than Austria for that sort of thing, yeah, it is those 2, unfortunately. So we are going to finish this season with a very similar story to what we've seen tonight in Austria. But BRT reeling themselves back into contention when it looked all but over. Shazoo could well get the job done next week. 73 points is the maximum you can score. 73 points is the difference. Yeah, next week the title is officially on the line.
Well, it's officially on the line. It will officially be on the line at round 24 if we've got anything to go about it as well.
Yeah.
I tell you what, an absolute cracker to say the least. It might be in the midst of bad news this week for BRT closing its doors, but they are the race winners for round number 22 of this championship, as all of the drivers are currently arguing with each other, and no doubt you guys are just finishing your popcorn. Take a breather. We'll be back next week at the Temple of Speed in Monza. Thank you very much for watching. From myself, Joseph, and the rest of the team here at WOR Legacy Division, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye for now.